Yeah. Fuck a nigga cause he told, won't tolerate rats. I got some dogs up the road cause them niggas told. Mouth full of gold, young nigga with an old soul. I just read up, bro, when they caught the whole boy. I only write hits, you can feel it in your damn soul. One team, one dream, all we got is one goal. All this money on me new, I know it look old. Had to grab a rubber band cause it can't fall. Kick her to the curb cause she stumbling on every word. Shoot a jersey number 33, shoot like Larry Bird. Bit the corner quick, got sticks and we got licks. Big ass bumps on my head, these is not wicks. I'ma wait my turn cause when you don't, that when you crash and burn. Say you never seen a nigga slide, nigga watch and learn. Better pay a nigga what you owe, just like bit worm. Made a left but should've made a right, that's a wrong turn. Told them niggas about them hollows, you know them things burn. Out here folding, you know you gotta stand firm. I feel just like little baby bro, it's my turn. Respect is never given, bro, it's always earned. Fuck a nigga cause he told, won't tolerate rats. I got some dogs up the road cause them niggas told. Mouth full of gold, young nigga with an old soul. I just read up, bro, when they caught the whole boy. I only write hits, you can feel it in your damn soul. One team, one dream, all we got is one goal. All this money on me new, I know it look old. Had to grab a rubber bands cause it can't fall.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Gaming and Streaming Talk Show. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about console wars. We're going to be discussing the pros and cons of every console developed by most of these popular companies, that is basically Sony, PlayStation and Nintendo. So we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of every console, finding out which console is the best in terms of everything and why you should buy that console and why that console suits your kind of gameplay playstyle. And with that being said, let us get straight into the show. So I hope everybody has had a good week. My week has been good. I've not had any issues, any problems or any challenges per se, so I've been good. So we can kick off the show with the three consoles we're going to be taking a look at. We have the PlayStation. We'll be having both a comparison of the new gen and the old gen. I don't know if Nintendo has new or old gen. It's just the one they released recently. I think sometime towards the end of last year, the beginning of this year, the Nintendo Switch OLED. I think that's the only one that maybe we can call the new gen Nintendo with the OLED display. But besides that, we're going to be looking at the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series S and X, and then we're also going to be looking at now the Nintendo Switch. Now we'll be taking a look at what each platform has to offer for gamers in terms of the hardware that each device comes with, and how the hardware inside the actual device is gonna impact your gaming per se. So the show is always live on the Discord, so if you want to join the Discord server, the link is right there in the chat. Just join the stage channel and raise your hand and you shall be invited to talk. If you want to be a guest on the show, y'all are welcome. So we'll start with, I think we're going to kick off this journey with the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 has been around for, I think, since 2013. I could just pull up a search and see when the PlayStation 4 was launched. PlayStation 4 release date. Also, I'm actually correct on that one. PlayStation 4 came out in 15th November of 2013. So we have here the PlayStation 4. So we have it. 15th November 2013 was the release date of the PlayStation 4. And if we count how many years that has been since the launch of the PlayStation 4 before we got a new console. I'll just pull up the calculator real quick. We get these statistics. So 2022 minus 2013. So the PlayStation 4 has been with us for around 9 years. That's using this statistics that we're getting here. It has been around for 9 years. In 9 years, we've seen a lot of enhancements in the gaming. We've seen a lot of improvements throughout the hardware of the PlayStation 4. We know we have the 3 models of the PlayStation 4. We have the original one, the PlayStation 4 FAT. I think we just call it FAT, PHAT, not FAT for FAT, but FAT for PHAT, PlayStation 4 FAT. And then we have the PlayStation 4 Slim. And then now after the Slim, now we have the PlayStation 4 Pro. So those are the 3 models of the PlayStation 4 that were released during the era of the PlayStation 4 before we finally got to the PlayStation 5. And each model of the PlayStation 4 came with something new and something different to offer in terms of size, in terms of performance, in terms of the clarity of the gameplay and the pixels, and in terms of how slim the console is. Like the size was a really big difference. And I think in terms of quietness as well, it really improved a lot in terms of how much noise the PS4 used to make. I remember the first model of the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 4 FAT. It used to make so much noise you would feel as if you're gaming in an airport below the fan or below the propeller of an aircraft that is just about to take off at the airport. It was so loud. Most guys were not happy with how loud the console was at the time, but there were modifications you could do to your console to make it very silent, and also cleaning the dust. Most of the times the console used to be very loud because of the dust clogging in the heatsink, or maybe dried out thermal paste. That's what used to make the console overheat, and that's one issue that the PlayStation 4 original had, or the PlayStation 4 FAT. We'll just call it the PlayStation 4 original. It had the overheating problem. A lot of guys used to complain that their PlayStation 4s used to overheat. That's the very first model that came out in 2013. Even I had a PlayStation 4 personally, the original model that overheated and got spoiled, so I had to get a new one. So that wasn't good. That was one downside that the original PlayStation 4 had, the overheating problem. Besides that, everything was good. The gameplay was good, and there wasn't really any downside to having it. It was just one-on-one connection with your TV via the HDMI cable, and I think it supported 1080p gaming at 60 Hz or at 60 FPS. For most games it was 1080p at 60 FPS. Let's go ahead and look at the PlayStation 4 hardware and see what the device was rocking. Okay, so we've gone to the PlayStation 4 hardware and we've gone to the official source of the PlayStation, that is Sony themselves, giving us what is under the hood of the PlayStation 4. So this is, according to the image we have here, this is the PlayStation Pro, the final release in the PlayStation 4 development stages. So okay, so we have the normal PlayStation 4, then we have the PlayStation 4 Pro. So we'll start with the normal one, the one that came out in 2013. You can see the model number is CUH2000 series, and it had a single chip processor. It was using an AMD processor, AMD 64-bit processor. It was called AMD Jaguar, and it had it had 8 cores. We don't know about the threads, but the graphics card was AMD Radeon based graphics engine, and it had 1.8 teraflops. The memory, it was GDDR5, which is good, and it was 8 GB. And then for the storage size, for the normal PlayStation 4, you are getting the 500 GB console and the 1 TB console. And the external dimensions, you can see it's we're talking about the length, the width, and the height. That's 265 by 39 by 280. That's all in millimeters. And the mass, it said the PlayStation weighed about 2.1 kilograms, and it was, this is the the disc version, so it had a DVD drive, and it had the USB ports, that is USB 3.1, and it had 2 of them. It had a 10 gig Ethernet port, and it also had a Wi-Fi adapter. And the operating system we've not been given here, it's just the base PlayStation operating system. So when we go to the PlayStation 4 Pro, it has kind of like the same specs as the normal PlayStation, but the you can see the model number difference. This is the CUH 7000 series. You can see the GPU is a bit stronger than the first generation, the one for 2013. You can see it's 4.2 teraflops, and the graphics card is still the Radeon based graphics engine, and the memory is GDDR5. We get a storage upgrade. This time it's only the 1 TB console available for the PlayStation 4 Pro, and the rest of the things is the same. You get this time you get 3 USB 3 ports and 1 auxiliary port at the back. You also get your Bluetooth, and the power consumption, max power consumption, is 310 watts. We didn't check the max power consumption for the original PlayStation 4, so let's go ahead and do that. So the max power consumption for the original PlayStation 4 was 165 watts. That is not that much power, but it's very little, so it's really manageable. So it's not something that's gonna put up a very high electric bill, so that's good. So we were finalizing on the PS4 Pro, and then the power, you can see it uses 100 to 40 on 60 and 50 hertz, and it had a 10 gig Ethernet port and 100 gig Ethernet port, we see there. And then you can see PS4 Pro features. You have the PS4 Pro HD, that is the game resolution. You can game at 1080p or 1440p depending on the TV that you have, and it had 4K gaming, and it supported native 4K, not the full 4K, so it supported just the native 4K, that is the 2160p. And when we go to graphics, it says greater draw distances, distant background objects benefit from improved focus and become more visible and detailed. Image with soft features like rounded corners and surfaces appear smoother and realistic. And then we have the visual effects, visual elements with very small features like smoke and steam have heavier look and feel more realistic. And then when we come to the environments, we have vivid textures, deep shadows, and high fidelity assets. In-game textures and images can take on a more detailed design like dirt on clothing and rust on metal. PS4 Pro enables sharper shadows with cleaner details at greater distances, creating depth and image context. And then we have the last one, high fidelity asset. More intricate imagery can be displayed with more images on the screen at once. We can see the HDR, that's the high definition rate, I think so. So HDR balances the light levels in games, enhancing colors and bringing displays closer to the full spectrum we see with the human eye. And then we see the frame rate boost. You can see the FPS is locked. PS4 Pro produces smoother locked frame rates. PS4 Pro produces faster targeted frames. So that's what we can see for the PlayStation and the PlayStation life cycle. Giza, welcome to the talk show. You're saying you're in a talk show with yourself. Yeah, the show just began. We were just discussing the PlayStation 4, and we were discussing the pros and cons of the PlayStation 4, and we mentioned that it has been 9 years since the launch of the PlayStation 4 before we got the PlayStation 5 later on after the 9-year period. So we want to now dive into the Xbox. We know we have the I think the 4 generations of the Xbox, because we have the original, just the Xbox One, and then we had the Xbox One S and the Xbox One, not 4 really, I think it's 3, because we just had the plain Xbox One, and then we had the Xbox One X, and then now we go to the Xbox One Series S and X. So we're getting there. So let's look at the Xbox and see how far we've come along before we've gotten actually a new Xbox. I'll just pop in the chat Xbox release date, so we see how far we've come from. Okay, so the Xbox One is not far off from the PlayStation, because it looks like both of them came out in November of 2013. As we can see, both devices came out in November of 2013, because you can see PS4 release date 15th November 2013, and when we look at the Xbox One release date, we see 22nd November 2013, almost a week after the release of the PlayStation 4. So we're gonna look at the hardware that the Xbox is rocking and see how different it is from the hardware that the PS4 is rocking. I know most consoles normally use the AMD processors and the AMD graphics cards, I think, because they're way cheaper to manufacture and way cheaper to process for the consoles and it's not gonna be expensive for them. So we're gonna look at the Xbox specs. This is the first generation Xbox. Then we look at the specs of the newer generations of the Xbox that have been released throughout the course of the console cycle, and see the hardware that the device is rocking, and then we'll take a look at the Nintendo Switch afterwards. So let's go ahead and look at that. So I'm gonna just type in Xbox specs, and then we're going to see what the device is rocking. So, and by the end of the show, we're going to have determined which is the superior console to have. Should you have a Nintendo Switch? Should you have a PlayStation? Or should you have an Xbox? All that is going to be detailed. So let us get into what the Xbox is rocking. So I'll just type it here. Xbox One specs. So I'm trying to find something that will give me a detailed spec sheet. IGN is not giving me like a full detailed. Okay, I think I'm just gonna have to use this one that I found, Xbox One family of devices spec sheet. So this is what we're going to take into consideration, or this is what we're going to use for the Xbox benchmark based on what we've been able to find off the net. So we're just gonna have a look at that. So this is what we've been able to find. So we do have we've been given a full detailed list of all the 3 Xboxes. So we have the Xbox One. So this is the life cycle of the the first 3 Xboxes to be released throughout the cycle of the Xbox before we go to the newer versions of the Xbox, because we have the Series S and the Series X. So there are actually 5 versions of the Xbox that have been released, of 5 models. So we'll have a look at all 5 models. So this one at least is giving us all 3 of the first models in a detailed sheet, so we can have a look and see. The GPU, it's written custom GPU. As they've not here it's gonna be difficult because they've not specified what GPU this is, but we can see the differences here. So so we start with the Xbox One X. We can see those are its dimensions. The memory is 8 GB, internal storage is 1 terabyte, and it supported optical disc drive with 4K Blu-ray CDs, and the power supply was a 245 watts internal power supply. The video and HDMI resolution and frame rate, it supported 4K 60 FPS or 4K 60 Hz if you'd like to say. It supported AMD FreeSync and HDMI variable refresh rate when ratified. And then when we go to the when we go to the Xbox One S, it also supported 4K at, this was just the native 4K, not the full 4K. It was just native 4K at 60 Hz, and the Xbox One, just the original one from 2013, supported 1080p gaming at 60 Hz, and it also had an Ethernet port. And this is the first one, the X. The X was the last one in this console cycle before we go to the Series S and the Series X. So it had 3 USB 3 ports. That's standard, you can see for all of them. They had 3 USB 3 ports. The HDMI out was 2.0, HDMI 2.0 for all of them. And for the first generation, it was HDMI 1.4. And for HDMI input was 1.4 for all of them. And all of them had a Kinect port, but the first generation had a Kinect port, but the rest had to use the external USB adapter for the Kinect, and all of them supported the same version of Ethernet. You can see IEEE 802, all of them supported that, and also all of them supported the same Wi-Fi bandwidth, and also supported 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. That's 5G network, IEEE 802. So we can see the RAM for all of them was 8 GB RAM, and the internal storage for the Xbox One X was 1 terabyte. For the Xbox One S, you were getting the 500 GB console, the 1 terabyte console, and the 2 terabyte hard drive. So those are the versions you were getting. You were getting 500 GB, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte hard drive. If you wanted, you could buy any of them. And then for just the normal one, the Xbox One, you were getting 500 GB, or you could choose the 1 terabyte console. So those are the 2 storage options you got with the original Xbox One. So I think that's it for these ones. Now we're gonna talk about the features that each of these consoles has, the PlayStation and the Xbox and the Nintendo, and we're going to make a round off and see which one is gonna take the win. So we're not gonna just talk about the gaming and the hardware, which device. I'm also gonna look at other things in terms of portability, the apps that every console has, and the feature that every console has that make it unique to one another. So now we're going to look at the newer versions of the Xbox and the newer versions of the PlayStation 5. Then we get into the Nintendo Switch, because I don't know much about the versions of the Switch, because I think there are only 3, because we have the normal Nintendo Switch, and then we have the Nintendo Switch Lite, and then we have the Nintendo Switch OLED. So we'll just look at those 3 That's as far as I know for the Nintendo. So 254 Ultra Gamer, welcome to the stream. Jesus asking, but who are you discussing with? It's just a talk show. You just join in and listen and just have fun and also contribute what you know about the topic. So we're going to look now at the newer versions of the consoles and see exactly what they had to offer. But let's take a dive into Nintendo and see what Nintendo has to offer before we go to the newer version. So we've looked at the first generation of all the consoles for both Xbox and PlayStation. Now we're looking at the first generation of console for Nintendo and seeing when it was released and when have we gotten a new Nintendo console. So I'm just gonna search that. Okay, so Nintendo Switch came out much later than the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. So if we look here, we can see that the Nintendo Switch came out on 3rd March 2017. That is 4 years after the release of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. So it looks like Nintendo was kind of studying the market and seeing what Sony and Microsoft are doing, and just putting itself on the sidelines until they decided that on March 3rd 2017 they are going to release the first version of the Nintendo Switch. You know, Nintendo has mostly been focusing on the handheld console market, and they're the ones who have been dominating the handheld console market. For Sony and PlayStation, they've been focusing on the fully fledged devices, like the big devices, not handheld devices. And the last handheld device that Sony made was the PlayStation Portable, which was shut down in 2014 after serving the world for 10 good years. With its release in the 2004, it was shut down in 2014. So they stopped developing the PlayStation Portable, and they also stopped developing games for the PlayStation Portable, but there were still individual developers who were still making products available for the PlayStation Portable and were still making accessories available for the PlayStation Portable. So we're going to look at the spec sheet of the Nintendo Switch and see what it is rocking. Hope we'll get a detailed sheet of this. So I can see here a link saying technical. Okay, so this is the official Nintendo site. At least for this one, we've gotten info from the official Nintendo site, so we're just going to digest what is on the Nintendo site. More hit rate. Last Sony handheld device was the PlayStation Vita. Oh yeah, thank you for that correction. The last Sony handheld device was the PlayStation Vita. Now, I interacted so much with the PlayStation Portable, I didn't really interact with the Vita that much, so I completely forgot about the Vita. In my mind, I was just like, the PSP was the final release of Sony's handheld consoles. Thank you for that correction. At more hit rate, now we are here. We have the Nintendo Switch specs that's directly from the mouth of Nintendo. So the size is 4.9 inches long and 0.55 inches deep. We have the Joy-Con, which is the Nintendo controller attached, and the weight is approximately 0.71 lbs and approximately 93 lbs with Joy-Con controllers attached. So the screen, we have a 7.0 inch OLED screen, and the display is a 720p, that is 1280 by 720. For the Nintendo Switch, they decided to go with NVIDIA, so they're using NVIDIA custom Tegra processor. The storage, you get 64 GB, which can be upgraded via the micro SD card that you can buy separately for your Nintendo. It does support Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but you can also get LAN connectivity when you connect your Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo dongle. You can get that LAN port, The video output, it supports 1080p gaming in via HDMI TV mode and up to 720p on the built-in screen. So 1280 by 720 is the default resolution, but when you dock it onto the Nintendo dock and plug it onto the TV via HDMI, you do get the upscale resolution to 1080p. And then we see here the audio output, it's compatible with 5.1 inch surround linear with PCM output via HDMI connector in TV mode. The speakers are stereo, and the charging port for this is USB type C, which is an added bonus because USB type C's are now the common thing. And it does support a 3.5mm jack. And the games nowadays, they advanced from using the cartridges. Now they're using the Nintendo game cards, similar to what the PlayStation Vita used to use. And then you do have your micro SD card slot if you want to upgrade your storage. And then the sensor is the accelerometer. The battery is a 4300 milliamp hour battery. That should get you going for more than 4 or 5 hours of battery life before you have to charge your console again. And the charging time is approximately 3 hours. So that's what the Nintendo is rocking. We could check the other one at the Nintendo Switch OLED. I think it's just the display that was changed, so I don't think there's really anything much to dive in on the Nintendo Switch OLED. So let's get and look at the PlayStation 5 and see what the PlayStation 5 is rocking, and then we'll see what the services that each device offers and the services that each device comes with, and then we'll be able to give a conclusive result on which is the better console. Like I said, we're looking into everything in terms of the hardware, in terms of the software, in terms of the portability, in terms of accessibility, in terms of price to performance. We're checking all of that in detail. So we're just going to look at PS5 release date and see when the PS5 came out. So over here, when we go to the search, we can see that the PlayStation 5 came out in November 12th of 2020. That's when we had the first PlayStation 5 release. And looking at 2013, so we're gonna do this initial one minus 2013 to get when had the difference in terms of production years from the PS5 and the PlayStation, the last generation of the PlayStation 4. So from the first results when we started was 9 years, but now 9 years was from the time the first PlayStation was released, the PlayStation 4, to the current now, which is 2022. But now this is taking into consideration when the first PlayStation 4 was released up to when the first PlayStation 5 was released, and that is a whooping 7 years. So it took long before Sony was able to give the guys a new console, and I think they were developing something that was gonna revolutionize gaming in terms of what people are used to seeing on consoles, just the regular things. So I think they wanted to enhance people's gaming experience rather than just rushing and giving them a console that people are not going to enjoy using and just hate the console at the time of its release. So now that we got its release date, we're going to check at PS5 specs, and I think Sony will give us that on the official PlayStation website. So I don't think I want to get something that will give us detailed infrastructure that the PS5 is rocking. let me use the Eurogamer.net and see if it will tell us. Okay, we've gotten something from Eurogamer, so let's see what Eurogamer is telling us about the PlayStation 5. So when we come to this is the PlayStation 5 specs, ray tracing, GPU, CPU, and other confirmed details. This is so far. This is Eurogamer.net. We've not gotten like the official spec sheet like we did for the PlayStation 4 right on the Sony website. So let's just use what we have for now to help us get the benchmark. So let's continue and see what we have. So for the PS5, we do have the same AMD Ryzen. It's a 64-bit processor, and it has this one, at least the last one for the PlayStation 4. It only showed us it had 8 threads. I mean, it only showed us the cores. It didn't show us the threads. But now for the PS5, we see it has 8 cores and 16 threads, and the processor is clocked at 3.5 gigahertz, which is a massive upgrade, because the PS4 we were not told it was clocked at how much. So the graphics card, or the GPU for the PlayStation 5 is the AMD Radeon RDNA 2 based graphics engine. Memory, you do have 16 gigabytes of RAM, and that's GDDR6, and it's 256-bit. The memory bandwidth, we have 448 GB read speed, and then internal storage, you do have the 825 gig SSD that comes pre-installed with the PlayStation 5, but you can swap out and put your own 1 terabyte SSD if you'd like. And you can see here expandable storage. You can expand the storage of your PlayStation 5 if you want. And the optical drive, it supports Blu-ray HD, ROM, we have DVD, and we have BDR/RE. And the game disc is Ultra HD Blu-ray with the read speed of 100 gigs per disc. The video output, we can see PS5 supports 4K 120Hz TVs, and that is VAR specified by HDMI 2.1. So you won't get this over the normal HDMI. You need to have a TV that supports HDMI 2.1, and you can see the dimensions here for the PlayStation 5, and they've given here the dimensions of the PlayStation 5 digital edition. So it's roughly the same, 390 by 104 by 260. And for the digital version is 390 by 92 by 260. So the only thing that's different is the digit in the middle, that's 104. And then the weight of the PS5 is 4.5 kilograms. It's slightly heavier than the PlayStation 4 Pro that had a mass of 3.3 kilograms. And the power, PlayStation 5 comes with an internal power supply of 350 watts. That's for the normal one, and the digital edition comes with a internal power supply of 240 watts compared to the PlayStation 4 power supply, which was maximum of 310 watts. That's almost 20 or 30 watts lower than what the PS4 had. And then you do have your 10 gig Ethernet, and then it also supports Bluetooth 5.1, and also supports Wi-Fi. For your inputs, or for your AI, or for your I/O, you have USB Type A. You have a 10 gig USB Type A, 2 of them again, and you have your USB Type C port that supports a read speed of up to 10 Gbps, 10 gigabits per second. And we've covered, I think, basically all the specs. So you can see there's a very huge improvement when it comes to the visual improvements on the PlayStation 4 compared to the PlayStation 5. So now this is in comparison to the last generation of the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 4. So we can see the input. So AV output, so this one has supported native 4K, but we see the PS5 supports full 4K at 120 Hz if your TV or if your monitor does support it, and it's detailed. It's detailed in the video output support of 4K 120 Hz TVs. For the PS4, when we look at the video output, it's not like given here by Sony. So it's saying AV output, so this is probably the output, so output port, so it supports 4K. It just says it supports 4K HDR. They've not given a detailed description on the PlayStation website of what kind of 4K it supports. Is it native 4K? Is it the full 4K? And you do have your digital out or optical audio port, if you know what that is. So that's it for the PlayStation. We can see there have been very big and major improvements throughout the generation of the PlayStation. Now let's look at the Xbox and see the release date and how far we've come from the first generation of Xbox to the new one. So I'll just type in Xbox Series S release date. And then we'll have the I'll also put a release date for the Series X. And then we put a release date for the original Xbox. You know it's 2013, but we'll just go back to it for reference purposes. And here we are. So we can see when we come to the last generation of the Xbox, so I think I'll put the final generation of the Xbox, but I'll just leave it at this for comparison. So the Xbox, the first model was the first model was 22nd November 2013, and the advancement we got after that one is the newer version of the Xbox, or the new gen Xbox, that came out in 10th November of 2020. That's 7 years difference. So it looks like both Sony and PlayStation were keeping a 7-year gap between the release of the new gen consoles, between the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and the Xbox One X and the Series S. So we can see the Series X, this is the Series S, came out 10th November 2020, and we can see that the Series X also came out 10th November 2020. So both Series S and X came out at the same time, and then we did have just the original Xbox coming out in 2013. So now we're going to look at the specs of each of these devices and see how they vary from the original Xbox and see what has been made different. So we just click on specs and you're all. Okay, so Xbox.com has just given us the specs of their device, and we'll look at the specs. Okay, so xbox.com as well. So we get the specs from the official Microsoft website. So we'll just wait for it to load, but it gives us the specs of the consoles and see what they have. So we'll start with the Series S, because that's the first one. That's the first new gen Xbox that came out. So we have redefined speed. So we'll start with specs. I'll just go to specs, all the tech specs. This is directly from the Microsoft Xbox website. This is not third-party websites that are going to give us some sketchy information. So I don't think it's giving us, like, I clicked on specs, but I don't think it's okay. So here we have, I was clicking the wrong place, but now here we have the specs. So the processor is an 8-core processor, clocked at 3.6 gigahertz. So this is slightly faster than the PS5 by 0.01 gigahertz, because for the PlayStation 5 it was 3.5 gigahertz, and for the Xbox Series S it's 3.6. so the Series S is faster than the PS5 by 0.1 gigahertz, 0.01 gigahertz. No, it's actually 0.1. It's faster by 0.1 gigahertz. When we look at the memory, we have 10 gigabytes of RAM, and it's GDDR6, and it's 128-bit. Memory bandwidth, we have a read speed of 8 gigabytes at a speed of 224 gigabytes per second. And the storage, you have your 1 terabyte expansion card for the Xbox, and the internal storage comes with the 512 gig SSD. When it comes to video resolutions for the Series S, it does support 120 FPS. You can see that Microsoft have confirmed it does support 120 FPS, and it does support a resolution of up to 1440p. And then the rest, I think, is just the dimensions, the size of the console, and whatnot. And also the pricing is below here. This is, I think, the Microsoft pricing. So we can see that there is a big advancements compared to the previous model of the Xbox. And now when we go to the Series X, this is directly from Microsoft themselves as well. So just click on specs and see exactly what the device is rocking. So this one is much faster than the PlayStation 5 and its predecessor, the Series X. It's an 8-core CPU clocked at 3.8 gigahertz, and the base clock is 3.66 gigahertz, and the CPU is a custom Zen 2 CPU. So this is an AMD CPU. The graphics card is it's an RDNA GPU with 12 teraflops at 1.82 gigahertz. The memory for this has increased from 10 gigabytes of RAM to 16 gigabytes of RAM with 320-bit bus. And then the memory bandwidth, you can see we have 10 gigabytes, we have 560 gigabytes, 6 gigabytes, and 336 gigabytes. Those are the read speeds and storage. And internal storage for the Series X, you do have a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD, and you can upgrade your storage via the SSD expansion slot at the back. And then for the resolution, you can see it does support full 4K, so you can see true 4K. And then high dynamic range, the HDR, it can support up to 8K if your TV does support. And you can play games on up to 120 FPS if your TV does support. So you can play 4K 120 FPS. and I think you can play 8K 60 or 8K 30 FPS. And you do get your ports here. You do have 3 USB 3.1 ports. You do get your our network card here, the 802.11, and you do get 1 HDMI port and 1 Ethernet port. And you can see the advancements in the video capabilities between the S and X are very huge, because video capabilities, according to Microsoft on their website, for the S, it does support 1440p gaming up to 120 FPS, and for the Series X, it does support 4K gaming, I mean true 4K gaming up to 120 FPS, and it supports up to 8K high dynamic range gaming. So that's it for both consoles. In terms of the Nintendo, we didn't find a detailed spec sheet to give us like the we didn't find like a detailed spec sheet to give us what the Nintendo is rocking in terms of the video. So let's look at the Nintendo Switch spec sheet one more time and find out the video outputs that the Nintendo Switch supports for gaming. I'll just look at the latest model, the OLED. I see that the outputs that it supports. So we'll just go back to the official Nintendo site that gave us the Nintendo spec sheet. So the video output, the Nintendo Switch only supports 1080p gaming and 720p gaming. So those are the only video outputs that Nintendo Switch does support. So 720p is the native resolution of the Nintendo Switch display, that is 1280 by 720, but you can upscale it to 1080p gaming while connected to the Nintendo Switch dock via HDMI cable to the TV. So that is it. So we've deconstructed all the consoles, the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox, and the PlayStation. We've seen the hardware that every console is rocking. Now we're going to look at the physical aspect. We've looked at basically the physical aspect, because we've also looked at the dimensions of every console, the length, the width, the height of every console. Now we're going to look at availability of games and how much these games cost and how much do these gaming services offer. So that's what we're going to look into next, and then we're going to decide on which console is actually the best and why you should get it and why you should have it in your gaming setup. So let's get straight into it. So we're looking at now for games, we'll look at the Nintendo eShop. We're going to look at the Xbox Microsoft Store, and for PlayStation we'll just look at the PlayStation Store. So each one of these companies has their own gaming service that makes the platform unique to them. For PlayStation, they do have the PlayStation Plus and the PlayStation Now. For Microsoft, they do have the Xbox Game Pass and the Xbox Live Gold. For Nintendo, they do have the Nintendo eShop. I don't know what else Nintendo has to offer besides the Nintendo eShop. So we're going to look at the PlayStation Plus and see what it is and how much it charges, and is it worth getting, and what are the pros and cons of PlayStation Plus. So we'll just go in that order: PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. So we'll just search it up and then see the pros and cons of everything, because we've looked at the hardware aspect of it and the video outputs that each device is rocking. So we'll just type in PlayStation Plus, and you do have to note the charges of PlayStation Plus depends on your PlayStation account region. So my PlayStation account region is for Saudi Arabia. I got it because it's cheaper to buy stuff there, and it's cheaper to get PSN gift codes. So now I've gone to PlayStation Plus and I've signed into my PlayStation account on the PC. So we're going to see what it says here. So it says PlayStation Plus. So for those who are new to the show, or those who are new, PlayStation Plus is a feature or is a service offered by PlayStation for those who want to play online multiplayer games. So you cannot play online multiplayer games on your PlayStation if you do not have an active PlayStation Plus subscription. So there are subscription plans that normally for 1 month, for 3 months, and then we have now a subscription plan for the whole year. And recently they added newer versions of the PlayStation Plus. So you see we have the PlayStation Plus Essential. This is the normal one. Then you have PlayStation Plus Extra. Then you have PlayStation Plus Premium. So the PlayStation Plus Essential, you pay $5.67 every month, and then with PlayStation Plus Extra you pay $4.06 every month, and with PlayStation Plus Premium you pay $5.672 to get the PlayStation Plus Premium. So with Essential it says so for 12 months, so that's for the whole year, you pay $49.99. For 3 months you'll pay $20.99, and for 1 month you'll pay $7.99, so that's $8. So it's roughly, so it's roughly $50, $30, and $8 respectively for all the plans in the Essential package. For the Extra package, it's they're not giving us a full price detail, so it's just saying 12-month subscription at $4.6 a month, and the Premium is giving us $5.67 per month. So that's the amount you're going to pay per month. And what you get with PlayStation Plus is you get free games every month. I believe they normally give you 3 free games every month. That is accurate. 3 free games every month by Sony that you get to keep in your account, and you can only play these games if you have an active PlayStation Plus subscription. If you do not have an active PlayStation Plus subscription, you will not be able to play those games. So that is it for PlayStation. And they have their cloud gaming service called PlayStation Now, so we're just gonna look it up. So now here we have PlayStation Plus, and we can see Sony have made an update on the PlayStation Now service, and they've given us the detailed info on the PlayStation website, and we're going to read what it says. PlayStation Now has now been merged with PlayStation Plus and is no longer a standalone membership. Benefits that were part of PlayStation Now are part of the various membership plans available in PlayStation Plus. Customers who had an active PlayStation Now membership when the PlayStation Plus membership service launched were migrated over to the PlayStation Plus Premium. So you can see what they've given us. So for the PlayStation Now, it was a service where you play games on the cloud directly from your PlayStation through the PlayStation Now app on your PlayStation. You just needed to download the app from the PlayStation Store, sign into your account, and play a huge library of PlayStation games, PlayStation exclusives, including OG PlayStation 1 games. So people really enjoyed this service, and people found it a useful service. And now PlayStation have gone ahead and clarified those who had an active PlayStation Now subscription before they introduced the new PlayStation Plus packages were moved directly to the PlayStation Plus membership. So they were moved to the PlayStation Plus Premium, to be specific. So if you had an active PlayStation Now account and it was working before the new PlayStation Plus packages were introduced, you were taken over to the PlayStation Plus Premium. So with PlayStation Plus, you get to play online multiplayer games with your friends, and you do get free games every month. I don't know if it's because previously they used to give 3 games every month, So I don't know if they give, or if they still give the 3 games every month, or they've reduced the number of games that they used to give per month. Now we're going to look at Xbox and see the things that Xbox has to offer, and that is the Xbox Live and the Xbox Game Pass. So you can call it Xbox Live or Xbox Gold, and the Xbox Game Pass. And so we'll just type it here and see what we get. Xbox Game Pass. So I'll just click on the first link that popped up for Microsoft. So this is what it entails. So with the Xbox, this is what you're getting. So let us dive straight into it and digest. Xbox is already a notch ahead of PlayStation, as with the Xbox Game Pass, you can see here it's written play hundreds of high quality games, and then you can see it's written Xbox Live Gold included. So when you do buy the Xbox Game Pass, you do given a free subscription of the Xbox Gold. So the Xbox Gold is the equivalent of PlayStation Plus. This is what enables you to play online multiplayer games with your friends on your Xbox. So that you do get that, and then you do get an EA Play membership included. So note, this is just EA Play membership. This is not EA Play Pro membership. You can upgrade to the EA Play Pro membership if you want, and you can just do that via the Xbox itself. I'm gonna launch my Xbox app and show you guys what it looks like. So this is the Xbox app. It's gonna show my account. Let's give it some time to, or just give it some time to load while it's fetching my account. So we can see it has already fetched my account, and these are my friends here. So we'll use, this is the Xbox console companion, so we'll use the other one, the Xbox app itself. So you can see I'm a member of the Game Pass Ultimate, so it says there Ultimate. So when you click over here on my library, you can see this is where your games are supposed to be. So when you click on console, it should show your console, and it should try to connect to your console, but it won't. So for now, we'll just use the console companion. So when you go to, when I click on my profile, it should show my activity feed, my achievements, my following, and my captures. So it shows your clubs as well, for the clubs that you have been invited to. And for games, let me look for the Game Pass option. So these are the games you get with Game Pass, so they're here on the side. Let me just restart the Xbox app. So we can see with the Game Pass subscription, or the Game Pass Ultimate subscription, you are getting a free subscription of Xbox Live Gold. It's already included as part of the package, so you don't have to worry about anything. So we can see trending. So now this is, I'll just click on browse all games. We could just choose anything, so I'm just looking at I'm just going back to the games. So now when we look at when we go back to my account, so my account is over here, so you can see these are the games we have. So you can choose the type of game you want, the game that supports 4K, cross-platform multiplayer, Xbox Live, shared split screen, optimized for the Series S and X, and console. Then you can choose game that support keyboard and mouse as well. So this is a list of all the games that you get with Game Pass. This is just a list of all the games that you get, but the games that are included in Game Pass will be written Game Pass alongside them. So we'll just look at any game. So you can see You Suck at Parking is a Game Pass. Microsoft Flight Simulator is also by Game Pass. So you can see You Suck at Parking is also included in Game Pass. All these games you see here are included with the Microsoft Game Pass Ultimate. So once you pay, you get access to all these games that you can install at your free time. So you do not have to worry about getting a free game every month, because all these games will be in your account, provided you can pay the annual subscription fee or the monthly subscription fee if you want to pay per month, or if you want to pay per annum. So you can see when PC Building Simulator 2 is here. And the good thing about Game Pass is that it's also available on PC. So if you're on PC, you can also go ahead and get yourself the Microsoft Game Pass Ultimate. So for the Nintendo, I only know of the Nintendo eShop. I don't know what Nintendo has to offer, but we're just going to check out the Nintendo eShop. So I'll just go into the Nintendo shop, and this is the first information we're getting from Nintendo themselves. So browse the latest sales and deals on video game systems, merchandise and more. So Nintendo is here. We have Warner Bros. Games and everything. So Nintendo, their shop doesn't seem to have much as compared to PlayStation and the Xbox. So there's really not much that you can buy here besides the Super Mario Classics and others. So I don't really think Nintendo has really that much, and I don't think they have a subscription plan that you can use. So
he doesn't record himself actually.
Online service, Nintendo has the online service, but I don't think they don't
the number of viewers. Yes.
I don't think it has any subscription plans as compared to I don't think they have any subscription plan. So yeah, so we just have Nintendo Switch, we have games, we don't have any subscription plan. So for Nintendo, I'm currently not seeing any subscription plan available. So there is no subscription plan available. So we've deconstructed down all the consoles, and we've looked at the pros and the cons of every console. Now we're going to talk about the portability and the usefulness of every subscription that comes along with these devices. So now we're coming to the end of the show as we finalize and choose which one is the best console. This is not coming from a biased perspective. It is coming from a perspective that I own and use, or I own and have used all of these consoles. So you have to take that into consideration. I have used the PlayStation 4 and I own the PlayStation 4. I have used the Xbox One and I do have the new generation Xbox Series X. And for Nintendo, I have used the Nintendo Switch, but personally I don't own a Nintendo Switch, so I'd love to own one in the future. So I only own the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series X. So when we look at in terms of what each company is offering you, we have PlayStation offering you the PlayStation Plus, whereby you get free games every month and you get to play online multiplayer games with your buddies. And for Xbox, you do have the Xbox Game Pass and the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that gives you a huge and wide library of AAA games that you can download and install at your free will at any given time without having to wait for free games every month. For Nintendo, we've just seen the Nintendo eShop where you can go buy games when they have deals. I've not really seen any subscription plan that Nintendo has for you to play online. I don't know if they do have a subscription plan. If there is one, you can just tell me in the comments section after the live stream if Nintendo does have a subscription plan where one can play online. And now when we look at the sizes of the consoles and the sounds that the console makes, or how quiet the devices are, personally I've not used the PlayStation 5, so I'm not gonna give any comparisons of the PlayStation 5 because it's a console I've not used. I know the Nintendo Switch is very quiet. That one we give it points. It's the most quiet console of all three of them, I think, in my opinion. So Nintendo Switch will get points for being quiet. Same to the Xbox Series S and X. Both consoles are very quiet. When you are using the console in the room, you would barely even hear the console making noise, or even the fan of the console. You'd barely even hear the fan of the console ramp up. That's an added advantage for both the Nintendo Switch and the Xbox Series S and X. Both consoles are very quiet. On the other hand, when I come to the PlayStation, I'll give my comparison based on the PlayStation that I've used, the PlayStation 4. When you come to the first model of the PlayStation 4, the one that came out in 2013, the fan speeds on the PlayStation were really crazy. The fan used to ramp up very loudly. You could feel as if you are in the middle of an airport. You could feel like you are below the propeller of an aircraft that is about to take off. That's my experience with it. That's how loud the console was. I'm sure the PS5 is a lot much quieter. I've not used it, but I'm guessing it's a lot much quieter as they have improved in the build quality and the internals to make it very silent. And in terms of the subscription packages, I think Xbox is gonna win in terms of the subscription packages, because if you're a new subscriber to the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, they'll charge you £1 or $1 for the first month, and then afterwards they'll start charging you a monthly fee of $10. And if you don't like the subscription, you can cancel anytime. Same to PlayStation Plus. I don't know how much they charge for new customers, but it's roughly around $10, and you can get the cheapest is now the PlayStation Plus Essential. I think when PlayStation saw that the Game Pass Ultimate had a wide library of games that someone could utilize freely without having to wait for free games every month, they decided to add the other two packages of the PlayStation Plus, and the PlayStation Plus Premium and the PlayStation Plus Essential, just based off on the original PlayStation Plus package. When we come to Nintendo, like I said, I didn't really see anything that Nintendo offered in terms of subscriptions for their plans on their shop. So probably in future we'll get an update if Nintendo does add something to their shop. And then when we come in terms of games, you get more games with Game Pass Ultimate than you do get on the PlayStation Plus. So the Xbox is gonna take the points for this one. So you do get more games with the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So for PlayStation Plus, you do get the free games that you get every month, and they'll be in your account provided you have the PlayStation Plus, and you'll only be able to play them if you have the PlayStation Plus subscription. For the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, I think you will be able to play your games even if your subscription has ended, because your games are still stored on your console. And when we look at portability, this one will go to the Xbox and the Nintendo. So when you look at the Xbox Series S, it's a very portable device that can fit into your backpack without occupying a lot of space. And also same to the Nintendo Switch, it fits into your backpack or your hand luggage without occupying a lot of space. When we come to the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 is very bulky. It's a very big console and is very noticeable in terms of where you place it in your surrounding. And it's not, you can't really, like, yes, you can travel with it, but it will occupy a lot of space in your travel equipment, so it's not really ideal in terms of portability. So for portability, this one will go to the Xbox Series S and the Nintendo Switch. So those two, remember, not the Series X, the Series S and the Nintendo Switch are the ones that are portable. So for me personally, I would feel that in terms of this discussion and this console wars topic, for me, I would feel Xbox is the preferred console for me. I've not interacted with the PlayStation 5, but I'm sure the games that you get on PlayStation 4 now have support for PlayStation 5, and also PlayStation Plus is available on PlayStation 5, so it's not like I've missed out on anything. So the services offered are just the same. Probably the game might feel different due to the upscaling in the video quality of the PlayStation 5, but in my opinion, the console for me that you should have in your gaming setup is the Xbox Series S or the Series X, but I'd prefer the Series X because we saw the spec sheet, it performs way better than the PlayStation 5, and the CPU is clocked higher than the PlayStation 5, and it also has more RAM than the PlayStation 5 if I'm not wrong. So it is the best console to have in your gaming setup, but you know, this is just my personal opinion. There are other people who might have their own personal opinion as to which console is the best to have in your gaming setup, but for me, the Xbox Series S, in terms of what it has to offer, and in terms of the video outputs, and in terms of how friendly the subscriptions are to get, and also what you get with every subscription you're getting from the Xbox, and also cool features that the Xbox has that the others don't. For one, you know, Discord is the biggest voice chat service used by gamers, and recently Xbox partnered with Discord. Now you have Discord app on your Xbox, and you can join any Discord server and any Discord voice chat from your Xbox directly. And you know, PlayStation had announced that they partnered with Discord, and Discord is coming to PlayStation, but it looks like Microsoft had the upper hand and made their partnership a lot quicker and got the Discord app on the Xbox. That's one added advantage the Xbox has. And one thing I'd also like to emphasize about the new version of the Xbox, the Series X, that I found useful with that I didn't find on my PlayStation 4. I'm using this comparison to my PlayStation 4 because I've not used the PlayStation 5. So if you know any info on the PlayStation 5 that could change my knowledge of the PlayStation, you can feel free to let me know. Is the streaming capability of the Xbox Series X. It allows you to stream in 1080p, and you can choose to stream at 1080p with a 6K bitrate. You can stream at 1080p with 3K bitrate, and you can also stream at 720p with 3K bitrate. For the PlayStation 4, when you go to the streaming options, you had the 360p streaming, you had the 720p streaming, and you had the 540p streaming, and you could not customize your bitrate. There was no any setting that you could use to customize your bitrate, so you had a locked bitrate, so you couldn't change it unless you streaming via a capture card, and then you change the bitrate on your streaming software. So unless you change that, then there was no way to manually change the bitrate like you could on the Xbox. And then one thing that I would give the Xbox a thumbs up, or another point why it is a good device to have in your gaming setup, or why in my preference it is the best console to have. An Xbox is just basically like a PC. 90% of the features you have on PC are available on the Xbox, which means Xbox supports a wide variety of webcams that you can use while streaming, and a wide variety of microphones that you can use while streaming. So for PlayStation, if you want to start a live broadcast, you need to have the PlayStation camera. That's if you want people to see you and whatnot, you need to have the PlayStation camera. But for Xbox, I just plug in any good webcam that I know that is clear, and it will work directly with my Xbox. So even this current webcam that I'm using is the same one I use on my Series X when I'm streaming, and I've not had any issues with it. So that's another thumbs up for the Xbox. It supports any camera for streaming. I would say any webcam, not any camera, because I don't think they have support for DSLR cameras as webcams yet, but they do have support for all webcams for use for streaming. And also Nintendo as well will get a point for this. Nintendo as well also have an inbuilt front-facing camera that you can use, I think, when you're live streaming games on your Nintendo Switch. I don't know how that works, but Nintendo will also get a point because they have their own webcam that you can use. And finally, I like one thing with the Xbox, the case design is very good. You can see how the case looks as compared to the previous version of the cases. It's very small, very compact, and the width is less than 2 centimeters. And one cool thing I like about the Xbox Series X, which is why it is the best console to have in your gaming setup, once you already have the disc and you install it onto the console, you have a digital version of the game, so you can as well sell the game as it is. So this disc, the way it is, I can sell it, because once I've put it into my console and the game data has been copied onto the console, this becomes the digital game. I no longer need to put in my CD into the console in order to play the game. That's one advantage the Xbox has over the PlayStation. The PlayStation, even though I've already put in my CD and it has copied the game data, I'll still need the exact same CD to play the game. But for Xbox, once the game data has been copied onto the console itself, the game becomes digital. I no longer have to get the disc, put it into the console to play the game. So in my opinion, for the Xbox, that's one advantage it has. And also the quick resume feature that the Xbox has that the PlayStation doesn't have. So for example, I'm playing a game, and for example, let's say my power dipped. When I turn the Xbox back on, when the power resumes, the Xbox will give me the option to continue playing the game from the last checkpoint where I had reached in the game, rather than starting the game afresh like PlayStation would. I reached a certain mission and the Xbox will automatically save my progress without the autosave feature. So when I launch the game, it will give me the option of starting the game from where I left off rather than starting the game from somewhere different than where I left off. That's another advantage that the Xbox has over the PlayStation. The auto continue feature, or the quick resume. It's normally called quick resume on the Xbox, and I think that's gonna be it for this discussion on console wars. I think I'll create links for this when I do convert this into a podcast, so you can go ahead and listen to it on the podcast platforms. But that's gonna be it for this discussion. We've discussed everything that every console has to offer in terms of hardware, in terms of the video outputs that you get with your console, in terms of the processing speed, the processor, the graphics card, and the RAM that each device is using. And we've also gone down and broken the nitty-gritty parts, the subscription plan that each console is offering, and which console is offering the best subscription plan, and which subscription plan you should get depending on what console you have. And that's gonna be the end of this discussion. So like I've said, personally for me, the best console to have in your gaming setup if you want to upgrade to the new gen consoles is the Xbox Series X, in my opinion, because it has many fatal advantages over the PlayStation 4. For one, it supports any webcam for streaming, and two, you have the option to customize your bitrate when streaming. Like I mentioned, you have 1080p streaming at 6K bitrate, you have 1080p streaming at 3K bitrate, and then you have the 720p streaming at 3K bitrate. And then the rest of the resolutions, I don't think you would want to stream in 480 or the resolution lower than 480. So I think the PS5 also has similar streaming settings, because I know in the PS4, like I mentioned, you couldn't customize the bitrate and whatnot when streaming. You only had 720p, 540p, and 360p, and those were the only resolutions available for streaming on PlayStation 4. So that's a downside. And also, like another plus I mentioned, the Xbox has the Discord app, and Discord is the biggest voice chat application used by gamers, and Discord coming to the Xbox was a major plus on the side of Discord. So, and also a major plus on the side of Xbox. That's one of the best partnerships of the year. And also, one thing I would say why I would prefer Xbox as the superior platform, because of the recent partnership that Xbox made with Samsung. So if you have the newer model of the Samsung TVs released in 2021 and 2022, all you need to do is go download the Xbox app onto your Samsung TV, sign into your Xbox account, and connect your Bluetooth controller to your TV, and play your Xbox games that you have on your Xbox console directly from your TV with the Xbox app, without having to have the physical console. It's more or less like cloud gaming, but it's not technically cloud gaming, because you're playing the games you have on your Xbox console without having to have the physical console itself. That's another advantage for the Xbox guys. I don't know if the Xbox app can be downloaded on Android TVs, and the same concept can be tested. So you can go do that and tell me if it works, what is the input delay, if any, and how well the service works. And also they chose the guys that Microsoft and Samsung chose to market this new partnership was the Fortnite streamer Ninja. Of course, when you're marketing something as good as this, you need to look for the guys who are popular in the industry and the guys who have a huge following. And we all know Ninja, one of the best Fortnite players in the world, if not the best. And he always has a great following on Twitch, on Instagram, and I think on his other social media platforms. And they chose him as the marketing guy for this, and it was really good when they announced this partnership just recently at the Game Awards, and it was very nice of Microsoft to do this partnership with Samsung. So even if you travel, you don't need your physical console to play the games that you have. You can just download the Xbox app on your Samsung TV, or you can also download the Xbox app on your phone and play the games that you have on your Xbox through your phone via remote play. That's another added feature. So I don't think there's anything else to add. We've touched on everything, the pros and cons of every console, that is the advantages and disadvantages, and which console you should have. If you feel that there was anything I left out, you can go ahead and tell me in the comment section. If you enjoy such videos, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, as it does engage the YouTube algorithm and it does help out and support the channel. And with that being said, it has been your king and boy BHE Frankenstein, your host of today's show, and the topic of today's show was console wars. And this has been the gaming and streaming talk show, and I will catch all of you guys in the next one, and peace out.
Iko juu sana, iko down juu sana, iko juu sana, iko down juu sana. Kenya iko juu sana, na Kenya yako iko down. Kazi ngumu stumiagi juu, Mola na shukuru. Game, dem, rise to fame, name it, zote ziko juu. Nipune deme, kikundi inaleta hit after hit. Daktari kwa beat, lazima ina kick. Piga game geta, acha heta kiteta. Game wangu juu, wako down juu, wangu ni wa kijana ya town, so renowned na wewe so unknown, yani uko down. Wapi deni yako, hauna nyako, kamtoto kako, haboli ni show, lose it bro and you'll wish you never had it. Blood group G, genge addict, Mike Big G, usiku mchana, nazichana, mnaidana. Hey, yangu iko juu sana, na Kenya yako iko down juu sana. Kenya yangu iko juu sana, na Kenya yako iko down juu sana.
Nikamini niko juu sana, nawe uko chini. Niko juu ya flight, uko chini kwenye site. Anani like Jonah Bona, first pia na psyche. Anani hit so guess nitamwita player hera. Jo karibu na mimi nikusho vile miuishi. Unabonga mob lakini pia miunitishi. Una hit sana na una single, angalau kajingle, tokenje ukamingle. Mnaenda chini sana, mi huku napanda. Ukibonga nitakuvunja kiguso panda. We una mandugu na mimi nina madada. We ujangaranes na mimi mengana jaja. Nipishe nipite ama nipite na wewe. Usije na manzi yako ndapita na yeye. So mimi niko juu sana, nani mko chini. Niite G-A-B-U aka Buganya.
Kenya yangu iko juu sana, na Kenya yako iko down juu sana. Kenya yangu iko juu sana, na Kenya yako iko down
Rapa iko down but flow iko juu. Wengi wananipenda au wachache watadu. Ukitaka kunipata wangalia tu juu. Rafael tu juu. Asante no nini si unajua tuko juu. Mimi kaje limo mbio zangu ziko juu. Kwenye hii track flow iko juu. Fresh king of flow. Skiza jo boy shagro. Ngoma zina flow zako zina bow. Mina saka do piga mdomo. Ngoma zangu zikiekwa wanaruka flow. Ngoma zako zikiekwa wanaepa flow. Nimesahau una kama show lakini we ni bro but mi ndio mso. Iko tu sana